You want to draft the perfect team. I want you to draft the perfect team, so I'm going to show you how to draft the perfect team. In this video, I'm going to go round by round, giving you the must-draft picks in every round of your fantasy draft based on current consensus ADP. Let's start with round one. A lot of good choices here. Of course, they're round one players for a reason, but let's go with Malik Nabers, currently going as pick number 10 in consensus ADP. This guy was second in targets last year, only 9 behind Ja'Marr Chase, despite missing 2 games. Had the 5th most deep targets on the season, but didn't connect on a lot of those deep targets because his quarterbacks were absolute garbage. Now he's got Russell Wilson, and whatever you want to say about Russell Wilson, he can still sling that deep ball. He was top 5 in deep ball accuracy rating last year. George Pickens led all wide receivers in deep catch rate last year. Russell Wilson can still sling those moon balls, and that is going to be massive for Malik Nabers' ceiling to go with all the underneath stuff, the yard after catch stuff that we already know he is great at. The only possible worry here is the toe injury, but it doesn't sound like the toe injury is an issue. Doesn't sound like it's serious. The Giants don't sound worried, therefore I'm not worried. Malik Nabers has the ceiling to be the absolute number 1 top scoring wide receiver in fantasy this year. If I can get him pick 10 in my fantasy drafts, I'm doing it every time. Now in round 2, we got many great choices here like Nico Collins, Devon Achane going early in the second round. You got Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, solid workhorse running backs here, but I'm going to go with Drake London at pick 20 consensus ADP. I think this is an absolute steal for Drake London. You look at it last year in the 3 games Michael Penix Jr. started, he was on a pace of over 1,900 yards, over 200 targets. Now look, I get it. It was 3 games. It's a small sample. He's probably not going to go for over 1,900 yards, and he's certainly not going to get over 200 targets, but who else is Michael Penix Jr. going to throw to this year? Darnell Mooney already dealing with a shoulder injury. Kyle Pitts is Kyle Pitts. Drake London could be right there with Malik Nabers as one of the leaders in targets in 2025. And if Michael Penix Jr. takes a step forward in year 2, gets better, having a full offseason with the offense, that's even going to be better for Drake London's value. Drake London was great last year, even with Kirk Cousins, being absolute garbage for most of the year. With a healthy Michael Penix under center for all 17 games, I really think Drake London could give us 2 top 5 wide receivers in round 1, in round 2 to carry us all season long. But the real reason I'm okay going wide receiver in these drafts is because I can get Chase Brown at pick 27 in round 3. This is an elite workhorse running back in one of the best offenses in football. And even though Joe Burrow is such a good quarterback, he will still check it down. You look at it last year from week 9 on when Zach Moss was out of the picture. And by the way, Zach Moss is out of the picture now. Chase Brown had the 2nd most targets among all running backs behind only Devon Achane. He was on pace for over 1,800 scrimmage yards, over 380 touches. This is an absolute stud workhorse running back in one of the best offenses who can give you a top 10, top 5 running back that we're getting in round 3. So we smashed early elite wide receiver and we still get a running back 1 in Chase Brown. I'm taking that every time. It also helps that in the next round, we can get Kenneth Walker, consensus pick 39 in fantasy drafts, as our running back 2. This is a guy I've talked about many times this offseason. I think this guy can truly be a league winner this year. He's an elite running back in a great situation here. Last year, in only 11 games, despite having a down year, still averaged over 16 fantasy points per game, still had 46 receptions in those 11 games, had the 5th highest route participation of any running back last year, and now he gets fantasy football running back coaching god Clint Kubiak. This guy turns running backs into gold. It doesn't matter who it is. And now he's got Kenneth Walker, who's going to thrive in this outside zone scheme. He's going to be used in the receiving game. Kenneth Walker poised to have his best year ever in 2025. Getting him as our RB2 in round 4 at pick 39. We're doing that every time. Back to wide receiver in round 5 at pick 59, Jameson Williams. I'll be honest, it's very close between him and TreVeyon Henderson, but I just feel like Jameson Williams is a guy who can help us from week 1. Yeah, TreVeyon Henderson may be more like the second half guy, but Jameson Williams can be an all-season guy. New offensive coordinator John Morton talking this guy up. I think we're going to see a different offense here. I think we're going to see a more vertical offense, and that is going to be great for Jameson Williams' fantasy value. Remember, last year was basically his first full year in the NFL because the first 2 years, injuries, suspensions, could never really get going. Last year, first full year, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. I think he does even better this year, 1,200 plus yards. Could push for double-digit touchdowns in this offense. So Jameson Williams in round 5 at pick 59 gives us tremendous upside for our wide receiver 3 or flex. That's what I'm looking for in fantasy. Now, in round 6, there's a lot of good options here. We got rookie wide receivers like McMillan and Hunter. I would be happy with those guys. We also have another wide receiver I love this year, George Pickens. But I think the pick here has to be Calvin Ridley at pick 70 consensus ADP. Talked about Calvin Ridley a ton. He's the undisputed target king in this Tennessee offense that is going to get a massive upgrade with Cam Ward. Just like Terry McLaurin got that massive upgrade with Jaden Daniels last year, we're going to see that with Calvin Ridley. Over 1,000 unrealized air yards last year, yet he still somehow went over 1,000 receiving yards. Let's give this guy 300 of those unrealized air yards, and suddenly we're talking about a league winner here, 1,300 plus yard wide receiver who could potentially score 8 plus touchdowns this year. I think Calvin Ridley is primed to smash this year with Cam Ward. I'm all in on Calvin Ridley. So even though I do like those other guys in this round, Calvin Ridley would be my must draft player in this round. Do you want to win your fantasy league but don't have time to do all the research? Are you tired of drafting mediocre teams and then having to constantly hope you hit it big on the waiver wire just to compete? Do you wish you could have a fantasy expert like Pierre or myself with you while you draft? Well, now you can. With our app Draft Lane and our live draft pilot, we will guide you through every pick of your draft and tell you exactly which players we would pick if we were on the clock. Our proprietary algorithm will take into account your league settings, scoring, and roster requirements to identify the best picks every time you are on the clock to ensure you have a winning team from week 1. It's the closest thing you can get to having us there drafting with you. Get the biggest edge in fantasy football. Just go to your app store and search for Draft Lane and download it today and get ready to dominate your draft. Now in round 7, let's go back to running back at pick 73 with Tony Pollard. Look, I'm buying into this Tennessee offense with Cam Ward, and people are worried about Tyjae Spears, like talking about like, hey, Tyjae Spears was involved last year. No, he really wasn't, not until the end of the season when Tony Pollard was banged up. Look at the games prior to that. Tyjae Spears wasn't even playing like 40% of the snaps, barely reaching 30% of the snaps. This was Tony Pollard's backfield. And I know Brian Callahan, head coach, has talked about like they want to get Tyjae Spears more involved. But you know what Brian Callahan said last offseason? They're looking at this as a 1A, 1B situation. It was not a 1A, 1B. It was Tony Pollard with Tyjae Spears sprinkled in. I think that's what we're going to see again this year. And again, with Cam Ward, with the offense being better, more chances to score here. No, I'm not going to say Tony Pollard's going to be a league winner or anything, but as our RB3 in round 7, he gives us great flexibility for when those bye weeks hits. Also can be a flex option here. Tony Pollard gives us great depth at the running back position, and I love his ADP in 2025. Now in round 8, a lot of ways we could go here. I like David Njoku at tight end early in round 8. You know I like Cam Scatterbo, the running back. I like Juwan Jennings if he's healthy. Matthew Golden, the rookie wide receiver for the Packers. But let's go at pick 90 with Jakobi Meyers. I think Jakobi Meyers is going to smash this year with Geno Smith under center. Last year, he averaged almost 9 targets per game. He was the wide receiver 19 on the season, and he was playing with Noodle Arm Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Geno Smith has been top 2 in accuracy rating for 4 straight years. He's reunited with Pete Carroll. This is going to be a better Raiders offense. Jakobi Meyers is going to be the wide receiver 1 in this offense. Sure, Brock Bowers is going to be there getting his targets, but he was there last year getting his targets. I'm not worried about that. Jakobi Meyers as like our bench wide receiver, maybe our second bench wide receiver in round 8, has the upside to absolutely be a guy we're starting every week, carrying us to fantasy championships. So as much as I like those other guys, I'm going to wait a little bit on tight end. I'm going to wait a little bit on our RB4, and I'm going to take Jakobi Meyers here. I think he's going to smash. Now in round 9, this is a good spot to get a quarterback since we didn't get one of the elite early quarterbacks. I like Brock Purdy here. I like Dak Prescott here. But at pick 103, I'm going with Justin Fields. I'm going to take a chance on a quarterback that can give us that dual threat rushing ability. You look at his 2 years in Chicago, he was a QB9 and a QB5 in points per game, and he never threw for more than 2,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. I know what you're going to comment down below. He looks terrible in camp. He might not throw for more than 2,500 yards. He might not reach 20 touchdowns. And again, I'm going to say, he didn't do that in Chicago, and it didn't matter. And unlike last year, where the Steelers knew they were going to start Russell Wilson as soon as they could, and they said, look, just don't do anything to lose games for us. The Jets are going to have to unleash him more. There's nobody behind Justin Fields that could threaten him as far as quarterbacks go. There's not, a vet like Russell Wilson waiting in the wings. There's not a highly touted rookie waiting in the wings. They are committed to Justin Fields this year. So even if he struggles throwing the ball a little bit, he's going to be out there every week running. Last year, he was on a pace to run for over 600 yards. He had 5 rushing touchdowns in his 6 starts. This guy gives you the potential to have 600 plus rushing yards, double-digit rushing touchdowns, and we're getting him at a discount to the elite quarterbacks earlier. So sure, Purdy, Dak, they might be safer, but I think Fields is a guy with the league-winning upside that you must draft in this range. Now let's get our RB4 at pick 114 with J.K. Dobbins. I think this guy is going to be the starter at the start of the season. Sean Payton usually likes to lean on the vets here. I do like rookie R.J. Harvey. R.J. Harvey could be a guy that comes on in the second half. But look, in most of your leagues, this isn't best ball. In most of your leagues, if R.J. Harvey isn't doing a whole lot early in the season, he's probably going to get dropped in a lot of leagues because you just can't hold a guy week after week after week doing nothing. You know, when you have waiver wire potential pickups. I'm not saying it's going to happen in every league, but in your shallower leagues, I could see it happening. I think Dobbins is going to be the guy you want early. Last year, over 900 yards and 9 touchdowns in only 13 games. He looked good. He was 7th in explosive run rate last year. It wasn't like he looked dusty or anything. Injuries are obviously the risk here. And yeah, he's probably going to get injured again because that's just what J.K. Dobbins does. But as I've been saying, if you get what you got from J.K. Dobbins last year, this year, at this ADP, you're going to be very happy you drafted J.K. Dobbins. Even if he's not there down the stretch, he's going to get you there at least. And hopefully by then you have other running backs to help you out. And again, he's our RB4 here. Now we're going to finally grab our tight end with Dalton Kincaid. Look, I've been talking about it. I think this guy could be a post-hype sleeper this year. Last year, he was very hyped up going into year 2. People thought it would be a breakout year, and it wasn't a breakout year. But now going into year 3, which is typically the year tight ends do, finally figure it out and put it together in this Buffalo offense that A, is probably going to be missing Khalil Shakir early in the season. B, doesn't really have a lot of pass catchers behind him. And C, he's been impressing in camp. It sounds like he's made strides this year. I know we don't want to buy too much into camp noise, but the fact that he's getting positive buzz out of camp is showing that they're going to get him more involved in the offense. And look, he was involved in the offense, even though it didn't feel like it. He was 8th in target share last year among tight ends, 7th in target rate last year among tight ends. He was involved. The results just weren't there. I think this year the results are there. And look, even if he's only a top 10, top 9 tight end this season for fantasy, it's okay. That's still fine as a set and forget tight end that we got at a discount and let us stack the rest of our roster. And then finally, I will say if you don't have a quarterback by this point, like if you've completely punted quarterback, I love Drake May here. I think he's going to take a step forward in year 2. He gives us that rushing upside that we're looking for. Not to the degree of Justin Fields, but a decent amount of rushing upside. But I think the pick we got to make here is Tank Bigsby at pick 136. We're potentially getting the Jaguars starting running back in round 13 as our 5th running back off the board. That is great value. I think he's being completely slept on this year. Talked about it in the late round running back video I did the other day. Tank Bigsby last year in games where he had 12 or more carries, averaged 14.5 fantasy points, and had double-digit fantasy points in all but one game. No reason to think this guy can't get 12 or more, probably 15 or more carries in this Liam Cohen offense. He fits the Bucky Irving role perfectly, better than any other running back here. No, he's not going to give us a ton of pass-catching upside, but he's going to give us, a nice floor with touchdown potential every single week. Liam Cohen is going to fix this offense like he fixed Tampa Bay's offense. So I've got faith in Tank Bigsby. Again, getting the running back 1 this late in your fantasy drafts, yeah, that is definitely a must-draft player. But of course, there's no guarantee you can get every single one of these players in every single round of your fantasy draft. So you might need to pivot. You're going to need more advice than this. We got you covered. All the draft content you need to dominate in 2025, you can find it in our playlist right here.